Alright guys, in today's video we're going to be taking a look at my post-data slate Blood Angels list that I'm going to be taking to a team tournament this weekend. It's the biggest team tournament in Canada. It's called CanHammer Team Tournament, located in Ottawa, Ontario. Really looking forward to it. I'm captaining my team, the first placeholders, so hopefully we can keep the name up there and see how far we can get. But definitely going to be some stiff competition. Crazy meta coming up with all the changes in the slate, which we did adopt very last minute. So it should be a wild one, but it's going to be a fun one. But let's take a look into the list I'm going to be bringing. All right, so here is my 2,000 points of post-data slate Blood Angels. I know for those of you who may have seen my first video, this actually might seem quite familiar, and that's just because I really do believe in my core that just works for me in the current way of the missions and how they play. Now I know obviously post-data slate people have a lot of different ideas, and that's great and all, but I can't stress enough that if it ain't broke, don't necessarily fix it. So we'll just take a quick look through this list. I won't dive as deep as I have in the past with my other list, which you guys can obviously see in my first video that I posted on the page to really have a deep dive of how I feel about each unit. But let's just break it down in a more simple fashion, have a shorter video, and obviously there's going to be multiple parts to this series to show you the journey and obviously explain some of the results. So first, before we dive into the Blood Angel part of the battalion, I've been coming very close with the Voids Men at Arms unit, so I'm taking a 6-man of them. They're pretty much primarily there for actions, screening, just very simple things, and for a cheap unit at 48 points, definitely think they're worth taking. Moving on into the HQs, I have my typical captain with his usual loadout, just very high level. He has Soul Warden for a 5-up Feeling of Pain versus Mortals. He's taking Rites of War, he's taking Visage of Death, and then he's armed with an Inferno pistol. Not this list actually. He's armed with a Mastercrafted bolt gun and a Relic Blade. Then for my Sanguinary Priest, he's going to be a Chief Apothecary with Selfless Healer. He's going to have the Teeth of Terror Relic, and he's essentially going to be that force multiplier defensively and able to trade as I need. Then moving over to my last HQ choice, which is the Librarian. He is going to be also upgraded to a Chief Librarian with the Warlord trait Psychic Mastery. The relic will be Armor Indomitus. And he's going to have a Force Sword and Bolt Gun. The powers he's going to be having for this event is going to be Psychic Scourge to do additional mortals. We're going to have the Null Zone ability, and as well as Psychic Fortress power. So definitely 3 crucial ones to my game plan. The one I was on the fence about was Psychic Fortress, actually, just because of the new Armor of Contempt rule, and the 5-up invulnerable save might actually not be required, but you never know when there's going to be some high AP coming your way, like a bunch of potential AP4, or who knows, AP5 potentially. You never know at this point, because people are really going to start gearing towards bringing much higher AP. So I figured, why not just have it in the toolbox and maybe not use it as much as I used to. So we'll see how it happens there. Moving on into the troops, we're going to keep it really simple with double incursors, so 5 and 5, and then a auto bolt rifle intercessor squad with a chainsword on the sergeant. Keeping it nice and simple for my 3 classic troops I always go with. Moving over to elites, we're going to be taking 3 auto bolt storm aggressors. I've been really liking them. With the change with Armor of Contempt, they've got even that much more durable, definitely allowing you to trade quite efficiently, especially because their power fists are AP4 in the assault doctrine. I think that'll actually do really well into a lot of different matchups, such as Chaos and other Marine builds. So I'm definitely curious to see how they perform actually for me at this team tournament. Then continuing with my elites, we have my 5 classic Death Company that I can't leave home without. 3 Thunder Hammers, 2 Chainsword, Bolt Pistol models as well. The usual, I'm not going to really dive too deep into what they do. They kind of just do what they say on the label. Then we have the most important part of my list. We have the 3 squads of Sanguinary Guard. We now have a 6-man with all swords. We have a 5-man with all axes, 2 Infernal pistols, and then a 5-man all axes regular bolt guns, for everybody else other than those guys. So They're my core. I love to stick to them. We're doing actually player placed terrain, which is very interesting and very different from a lot of team tournaments, because usually you have a medium, light, and heavy approach. That's obviously a mixture of all three of those throughout the five tables. But yeah, definitely I think going to be able to play the board pretty well since then I'm able to place the terrain. And then we're going to be moving to the heavy support, which is going to be 3 eliminators. I actually went for the sniper variants just because I want their flexibility to actually shoot some of the different options that they have. So I have 2 of them with the typical sniper weapons, and then the sergeant will have the instigator as always for the double move. So I'll see how they perform. This is actually a test for them. The last heavy support slot is going to be taken by my eradicators. So I'm going to have the 2 with the heavy melta rifles, 1 with the multi-melta for a total of 8 melta shots. I've been liking how they play. Still, the verdict is still out on them just because they are 155 points and they kind of are, or they seem to be sort of a one and done scenario. I'm trying to utilize them my best and see where they are best used, but we will see how they perform as well. And then lastly, for dedicated transport, we are going to be having my Landspeeder Storm, which again, it's really hard for me to take that beautiful unit out of the list just because it does so much for me in terms of screening, shutting off Overwatch, tagging units, scoring extra points, cheap trading, etc. So that's my 2,000 points. I figure we keep this one a little bit more brief. And like I mentioned earlier, if you do want to hear a bit more in depth on most of these units, I have covered them in a previous video on my first tournament report that I did. Now, obviously, something to keep in mind at this event is that this is going to be team tournaments, a little bit different from singles. I think people have an interesting thought on team tournaments, being the fact that everyone assumes you have to skew hard and you have to, min-max to your fullest in order to, be playing teams properly. But it really actually doesn't work like that in teams, and I think a lot of people have a misconception of that. In terms of a team tournament, you really want to just be able to fill the gap with whatever your team needs your role to be. So in my situation, the reason why I've gone for a very well-rounded list and kind of what I'm used to with my core is because my teammates believe in my ability with my list. And I've been proven to do well with lists like this on player placed terrain. So there was no reason for me to skew and, for example, run like 30 Vanguard veterans or, bring a bunch of dreadnoughts or whatever just to skew my Marine build. But rather just be that flex pick where we can kind of put me into pretty much any matchup and feel like I have some sort of chance to keep the game close, even if it's a red, so to speak. And obviously, for those of you who don't know what a red might be, is we tend to color code matchups just so we have an idea of how we feel about them. So a red might be a really bad matchup, but then hopefully I can get something out of it and make it a yellow, so to speak. So that would be a little bit of a closer game. And then we have like a green, when a green means it's a win, but a bit of a larger margin of victory. So again, just keeping it very simple at a high level. A list like this just prepares me to play, anything across the board from me, and pretty much just allows me to have the tools that I feel I need into any matchup based on my comfort level with the list. And obviously, it complements the other 4 armies within the 5 that we have. And obviously, I can give you a quick rundown on that, which is we have a Gene Stealer Cult, and we have Tau, we have Necrons, and we have Harlequins. So those 4 plus my Blood Angels are the 5. We feel like we have a very good, solid 5 just armies put together in general, so we think we can, hold our own. Obviously, it'll be tough going into some of the, tougher meta matchups if they have, Crusher Stampede. I know this is their final ride this weekend with that book, so they'll be definitely difficult to play into, as well as other Tau, other Harlequins, and obviously the resurgence of now factions that weren't, overlooked at first, such as Thousand Sons or Death Guard, are most definitely back on the table. So it's definitely going to be an interesting one. Like I said, it's almost looking like the Wild Wild West out there. So yeah, it's going to be really great to see how we pair and, how we can all work in cohesion with one another to really achieve that victory in the round if we can, or how close we can keep rounds if it's, if we're up against the wall. But, that's kind of the beauty of team tournaments. And if you haven't tried one, I do recommend trying to, become close with a group of gamers who are like-minded like you, who are passionate like you, and share the same values to, try an event in the future like this. Maybe not a massive one, but even a smaller one. just to see how you feel and how it feels for you. It really does give some factions a new lease on life in the 40K competitive scene. So yeah, a bit of a rant. I know I went a bit further than I know I probably should have, but figured I'd give you guys the down low on how I'm feeling going into it. So again, really looking forward to the weekend. I'm really excited with my group of guys that I've put together, and I know they're very, very pumped for it too. So just really looking forward to a great time with a lot of friends that I haven't seen in a while, and my fellow Team Canada teammates I'm going to be able to hang out with that I don't get to all the time other than at Discord, it seems. So going to be a great weekend. But this was episode 1. Figured we would start off with the beginning part of it, and then episode 2 is going to cover the journey essentially and the event itself, and then episode 3 will essentially be a bit of a shorter video, just kind of with the post tournament wrap up and how I felt about the list, how I felt about the tournament, etc. So again, thank you so much for listening to the video. Please, as always, share, like, subscribe, as it helps the channel grow. And I've been Sam. Appreciate it. See you in the next one.